What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Anthony Joshua, Jonathon Banks, Vladimir Klitschko's old trainer. Jonathon Banks, who trained former unified heavyweight champion Vladimir Klitschko for the few final years of his career, believes Anthony Joshua will not have success if he applies his recent fighting style in a battle with Tyson Fury. Joshua, who holds all the other belts, was stopped by Andy Ruiz in 7 rounds in June of 2019. In his next 2 fights, he fought in more of a cautious boxing style instead of his usually aggressive power punching style. He got revenge with a 12th round decision over Ruiz in December of 19 and stopped mandatory challenger Kubrat Pulev in 9 rounds. Now, Joshua's handlers are currently in serious negotiations to finalize a 2-fight deal, as we know. If a deal is reached, the contest will likely land in May or early June. He says, quote, Jonathon Banks, "The fight is huge. I don't care where you put it, but especially if you put it in the UK. That's huge. Fury is the only one that's undefeated. So you have to give the edge to the undefeated guy, I'm assuming, okay? But it all depends on how AJ wants to fight. He can't fight like he fought Andy Ruiz in the second fight, and he definitely can't fight how he just fought Pulev in the last fight. He has to figure out a way or another way of fighting Fury. If AJ was to be real physical, that would be, to me, one of the best ways to fight him. In the last 2 fights of Klitschko's career, he lost to Fury and Joshua, okay? But then on the other hand, he says, I knew we had issues with the ring before Fury, and I knew he had issues in the fight, okay? And on the other hand, in the AJ fight, I knew Vlad would win, but I just wanted him to go for the knockout when I told him to, but he didn't get him in particular time, so that was a little bit frustrating, okay? He was talking about the Klitschko-Vladimir fight. Now, for what he said about the 2 fights that Anthony Joshua had, Anthony Joshua fought 2 different fighters. You know, I agree with Jonathon Banks, though. He has to be more physical with Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is a guy that I feel is a good boxer. But I also feel now from what I saw in the last fight, and that's kind of hard to really gauge because he fought a guy that didn't have a lot of dimensions to his game, and I'm talking about Wilder. It seems or appears that he's more of a roughhouse fighter. And what Jonathon Banks was referring to is Anthony Joshua has to be more physical with him. Meaning he has to use his size. He has to be more brash, more forceful. Understand it's going to be a lot of wrestling in this fight with 2 big guys like that. Okay? If you don't believe me, look at the Wilder Fury fight. Look at Wilder Fury 2. Okay? Most of that, yes, Tyson Fury was tagging him, but what was he doing? He was roughhousing Wilder. He had him in the headlock. Okay? He turned him around. He worked the body. He roughed him up. He spent him around. He did a lot of things to him in that regards. You know what I mean? He grabbed him. He held him. And I think Wilder wasn't accustomed to that. So a lot of times people are like, well, what was wrong with Wilder? He wasn't used to a guy that was taking him and manhandling him. Because Wilder's a pretty strong guy. Don't get it twisted. He can, like, you might be looking at his legs and all that shit and, you know, his skinny legs, he's weak or whatever. Look, that guy can brag. He can grab you, pick you up, and throw you. Look what he did to Ortiz in the first fight. He grabbed Ortiz, and Ortiz was what, 245, 250? Grabbed him and slung him into the ropes. Right? So that shows you that, man, this dude ain't weak. Wilder wasn't weak, but neither was Fury. Okay? Fury was much more toned. He was better in shape. This wasn't that first fight. So Joshua has to take note that he will be in a fight where Tyson Fury is going to rough him up. He's going to have him in the headlock. You know what I mean? And when someone puts you in the headlock, right, you're forced to bend over, right? And when you bend over, we've known that Anthony Joshua will do that at times, you know, but Tyson Fury's doing that for his advantage. because he's making it his type of fight, a roughhouse tactical fight like that. That's what Tyson Fury will do. He doesn't care. He's in there for war. Okay, again, he will do that. And in time, you keep doing that and you keep allowing a fighter to rough you up like that, like Tyson Fury did Deontay Wilder. It's going to take that juice out of your back pretty soon. Your lower back's going to start hurting because you don't supposed to be bending over like that anyhow. Okay, you ask somebody that knows. You know what I mean? You mostly squat versus bending over because it takes the tension. It puts tension on your lower back. Okay, and that's going to in time going to cause fatigue if that keeps happening. You know, so Jonathon Banks is right about that. He has to come in to fight Tyson Fury, to know, hey, let me rough you up, spin you around, get these punches off. He has to. He can't give Tyson Fury a lot of respect, because when he starts doing that, Tyson Fury is there and he's going to invade his space if he's allowed to. So Jonathon Banks is definitely true on that. Now, the second fight with Pulev, I think he was a little bit more aggressive, and I think it was like a brackish or hybrid style of the second Ruiz fight and that fight that he had in 2019, because he was throwing them bows. He was trying to get him out of there, but you know, he was stiffing the jab with Tyson Fury. With Kubrat Pulev. Okay, so he was doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Okay, so he was doing a mixture of attack and being cautious in boxing all at the same damn time. But Tyson Fury's coming. He's coming for you, and he ain't going to take no for an answer. You have to make him say no. So, yes, I do agree with Jonathon Banks with that, you know what I mean, because I think that if you take the second Tyson Fury, well, should I say Tyson Fury in the rematch with Wilder versus the Anthony Joshua that fought in Dubai, not Dubai, but in Saudi Arabia, I think Tyson Fury takes that Joshua. But this is a totally different Joshua, I believe. But then again, we weren't able to see what type of Tyson Fury we're going to be dealing with. We didn't see the Caballero fight. For whatever reason, it didn't happen, right? So we don't know how he's going to react, but we know anything from Tyson Fury, he is aggressive and he will come forward throwing punches and bunches. But I think now with the crunk style, he's going to add a little bit more brash and aggressiveness, just like we saw in the Deontay Wilder fight. So you guys tell me what you think of Jonathon Banks' comments and prediction. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.